MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Last year, the COVID shutdown had a lot of people singing the blues, but tonight they were jamming to them in downtown Billings. After a year away and a few delays this year, Alive After 5 returned as hundreds filled downtown Billings tonight for music, food, and fun. The concert series joined together with another Billings favorite as the Magic City Blues Festival also kicked off. Q2's David J. headed out to the McCormick Cafe tonight as blues and tunes filled the air. David?
Live After 5 and the Magic City Blues Festival are back after taking last year off because of COVID, and they're telling us that the crowd out here looks fairly normal.
It's really cool to be on a professional stage with professional sound guys. You can actually hear yourself, and the audience gets to hear more of what your sound is actually like. It was awesome. It was really fun. Still riding that high.
Started things off with Willie G, and then it was Mike Ferris.
He's a huge soul singer. His original band was the Screamin' Cheetah Wheelies. He's a killer vocalist, and that's what a lot of people know him for. I think he's sang on a bunch of other artists' tracks.
Oh, it's awesome. They have a really great eye for talent. I think Mike Ferris is going to kill it. Magic City Blues knows how to put on a show. They've been doing it for 20 years as of this year.
Pretty cool to be back. It's kind of weird, and I don't think that everybody's quite ready, or they're just getting there, because last year took its toll on everybody. So I think people are really excited that it's back. It's time to party.
It feels good to get the team back rolling in setting up for Live After 5. Everybody loves it, especially if you work downtown. You get off work and you stroll on over to the Live After 5 and connect with a lot of people you haven't seen maybe in a week, or maybe in this case in a year.
Live After 5 has 3 more concerts in August, and the main part of the Magic City Blues Festival runs Friday and Saturday. In Billings, David J., MTN News.
Thanks, David. Mike Ferris performs as the first show on the big stage tomorrow at 6:30 at the Magic City Blues Festival. Well, thousands of motorcycle riders will rumble through our area on their way to the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally in South Dakota. The 81st year of the world-famous motorcycle rally kicks off tomorrow for 10 days, and with as many as 700,000 visitors expected to attend. That's nearly 100 times larger than the entire population of Sturgis, which is around 7,000. Last year, roughly 460,000 people attended, despite it being held in the peak of the pandemic. Businesses around that area are once again revved up for the annual tradition as it generates around $800 million in sales for the local economy. Time to turn to Chief Meteorologist Ed McIntosh, and the Groundhog's Day of summer is coming up. What's that mean?
That means we're at the halfway point. Just like Groundhog's Day is the halfway point of winter, we're getting up to close to the midpoint of summer. That's going to be on Saturday, halfway between the summer solstice and the fall equinox. So what does that really mean? Well, I came up with a couple of things. First off, we're losing daylight about 2.5 minutes per day. We've lost over an hour and 15 minutes since the summer started on June 20th. And we're halfway through the growing season as well. Plus, this is the time of the year when the temperatures start to trend a little bit cooler. After the hot months that we saw in June and July can only get cooler, can't it? We'll take a look at the forecast. I'll tell you all the details coming up in a few minutes.
Well, we've certainly had more than our share of wildfires already in Montana, but take a look at what they're dealing with out in California. This is just some incredible video of the devastating Dixie Fire. That fire has already spread over 322,000 acres. Last night, it jumped into the Old Town area of Greenville, leaving virtually nothing but rubble behind. Previously, what was once an old town hall, saloons, stores, restaurants, gas stations, and homes were all destroyed as that fire burned through that town in about 3 hours. Well, the Senate could vote any day now to end debate on the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. Today, the Congressional Budget Office said that measure, as it stands, would add billions of dollars to the deficit over the next decade. Natalie Brandt has more from Capitol Hill.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer signaled he's hoping for a final vote on the bipartisan physical infrastructure package this weekend.
Our goal is to pass both a bipartisan infrastructure bill and a budget resolution during this work period.
Senators have considered more than 20 amendments so far to the bill, which includes $550 billion in new spending on transportation, broadband, water, and power systems. Thursday, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office released its analysis of the legislation, estimating it would add around $256 billion to projected deficits over the next 10 years. 17 Senate Republicans voted to move the bipartisan measure forward 1 week ago, but some GOP senators have raised concern about the price tag.
They'll say over and over again that this bill is paid for, but when you look at the pay-fors, they don't add up.
Meanwhile, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says the bill could become a bipartisan success story, but he has bashed Senate Democrats' $3.5 trillion budget reconciliation measure, which focuses on what they call human infrastructure.
Democrats are about to tell Republicans to go take a hike and start teeing up trillions more dollars in borrowing and spending.
The Senate is scheduled to begin August recess next week, but lawmakers are expected to stay in town to continue work on both infrastructure measures. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
A Montana Democratic Senator John Tester contends that the CBO score is incomplete. He said that the score doesn't consider all the revenue that supporters are including, which would provide more than $269 billion in revenue. That's $13 billion more than the debt that it would add. Republican Senator Steve Daines says he'll be voting no on that bill. Carbon County commissioners met today, 2 days after voters turned down ballot measures for a new jail. The proposed detention facility would have started with 53 beds with the potential to expand to almost double that. Commissioner Bill Bullock says there is no other plan at this point. The sheriff's office will continue to drive inmates to Rosebud and Broadwater counties at a cost of more than $500 to $850. Citizens overwhelmingly voted against a $19 million bond to build a new jail and the $1.83 million mill levy for operation and maintenance. Unofficial results show the bond and mill levy both failed by wide margins, with more than 60% voting no on each one.
We put this initiative forth because we had to ask the question on how our constituents want to spend their tax dollars. I think that our constituents and our residents gave it a lot of thought. There was a lot of emotion around the issue. There hasn't been a detention facility available in Carbon County right now for over 20 years. But we had to ask because, like most small counties in Montana, we're spending a lot of money to detain inmates, and it's not a problem that's going to go away.
Commissioner Bullock says the issue is finished and a decision may have to be made with the property the county purchased southeast of Joliet. The Biden administration's moratorium on new oil and gas leases on federal land has already cost the state of North Dakota billions of dollars. Now, as that moratorium stretches into its 8th month, North Dakota officials are asking a federal judge to order the Interior Department to resume its quarterly lease sales. Last month, the North Dakota Attorney General sued Interior Secretary Deb Haaland over the canceled lease sales this past March and June. State officials contend canceling those sales dried up as much as $86 million in potential royalties. In western North Dakota alone, some 236 tracts that were ready for auction are now on hold. Mineral Resources Director Lynn Helms estimates those tracts represent as many as 1,000 oil wells and $4.8 billion in future value to the state. North Dakota's lawsuit asked the court to set a specific date for restarting the lease sales. It would also prohibit future moratoriums. While no hearing date has yet been set, Helms says North Dakota is looking forward to its day in court. Well, still ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2, the vaccines gave hope, but the variants are reminding us that the pandemic is far from over. We'll learn more about them right after the break. Then later in sports, the Billings Mustangs are red hot. We'll catch up with one of their leading arms who never expected to make baseball a career.